I'm Janice Cummings here with Nichole Hatten, and we're coming to you with Mark chapter 7, verses 24 through 37. And grab your Bibles and let's begin. And from there he arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house and did not want anyone to know, yet he could not be hidden. But immediately a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell down at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile, a Syrophoenician by birth. She begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." And he said to her, "For this statement you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter." And she went home and found the child lying in bed and the demon gone.
Okay, verse 31 says, Jesus left Tyre and went up to Sidon before going back to the Sea of Galilee in the region of the 10 towns. A deaf man with a speech impediment was brought to him, and the people begged Jesus to lay his hands on the man. Jesus led him away from the crowd so they could be alone. He put his fingers into the man's ear. Then, spitting on his own fingers, he touched the man's tongue. Looking up to heaven, he sighed and said, "Ephphatha," which means be open. Instantly, the man could hear perfectly, and his tongue was freed so he could speak plainly. Jesus told the crowd not to tell anyone, but the more he told them not to, the more they spread the news. They were completely amazed and said again and again, "Everything he does is wonderful. He even makes the deaf to hear and gives speech to those who cannot speak."
Now, in this passage we studied, there are two separate events. The first one is with a Gentile woman, and the second one is with a deaf and mute man. So, Nichole, let's talk about the woman first. What was the significance of that passage to you? What stood out to you?
First off, she was not one of God's chosen people.
So she was a Gentile.
She was a Gentile, and then she went to God alone, but was asking for healing for her daughter.
Yeah. She wasn't coming on her own behalf. That's right. She was coming on behalf of her daughter. What was her first response to Jesus?
She fell at his feet.
Why is that significant?
Because she humbled herself.
Yeah, that's a sign of humility, isn't it? She was humbling herself before him, saying, "I recognize your power and your ability, and I am kneeling before you and humbling myself and submitting myself to you." Yeah. So what else did you see in that passage? What else stood out?
She begged him. She was begging.
Yeah, we actually saw that word beg in both those events, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think why is that so important for you and me?
Because we need to know that just because we ask him one time, that doesn't mean stop asking. You need to keep on asking until you get an answer.
Yeah, he wants us to be persistent, right? Mm-hmm. And not give up. I think so often, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes I just am so quickly to give up on praying when I know that he doesn't want me to. And so I have to confess and keep praying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about the man. The man actually, his friends bring him before Jesus. And we saw that they begged Jesus. What did they beg Jesus for?
To touch him.
Yeah, to lay his hand on their friend, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I think that's significant in that this man has friends, and yet he is deaf and he is mute. I know I worked in special education, so I have a real heart for children who are special, that have special abilities. And so I think that says a lot about this man and the people that were surrounding him. He had friends, and I think Jesus wants us to make sure that we are not just friends with people that are like us, but to really extend our circle of friendship even wider. Mm-hmm. So now his friends bring him, and they want to touch from Jesus. And I think really what they're saying, you know, we're bringing him to you, just touch him, bless him, and then you do whatever you think he needs. And so that's the way they leave it. Now, what happens?
Jesus takes the man away from the crowd, and He puts his fingers in his ears, and then he puts some spit from his own mouth on his tongue.
Yeah. Do you remember what he said? Remember when he did that and he looked up to heaven and he said, Ephatha, which meant be open. But it says, and he sighed. Why do you think Jesus sighed?
I think he sighed because he knew that now the man would be susceptible to things that he wasn't before. Like, since he could speak and now he could hear, he would be acceptable to certain sins that he wasn't able to.
Oh, that he couldn't even participate in before. Now he's going to have to contend with the sins of his tongue, right? And he's going to hear things that aren't going to be very uplifting or encouraging or building up, right? Yeah, so I really think that's part of why he sighs. Well, Nichole and I have been very convicted by this passage, and we hope you have been as well. And we're going to spend some time right now praying for those that we know that need healing. Won't you join us? Take a little time now and do that. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.